Disney securing some major support in its ongoing proxy battle with Nelson Peltz. The media giant securing the support of activist hedge fund ValueAct for its board nominees. Separately, Blackwells Capital will nominate 3 directors of its own to Disney's board who side with CEO Bob Iger's current strategy. Joining us now, Jessica Toonkel, deputy media editor at the Wall Street Journal. All of this trying to counterbalance Nelson Peltz and Trian. There's like this activist battle that seems to be going on here with Disney at the center. What do we make of it here? And sort of how do we figure out who the winner could be in all of this?
So today's a bad day for Nelson Peltz. As you may recall, his firm Trian started an activist campaign last year against Disney, saying they wanted more cost cutting. Disney's CEO Bob Iger, who had just returned to CEO, implemented a very aggressive cost-cutting plan. Peltz backed off. Then he came back because he was unhappy again. And this time he brought Ike Perlmutter with him, who is an investor in Disney and wants to be on the board. He recently nominated Jay Rizzullo, former Disney executive, to be on the board. But Disney has all these other shareholders, including ValueAct, which has a lot of heft, backing them now. So I don't know where this is going to go for Nelson Peltz. It doesn't seem like it's boding well for their campaign.
And another big story, want to get your take on, Jessica, in your world, was Paramount Global, which is a fun one. How do you think that one plays out? You know, I mean, it merges with Warner Brothers Discovery. What do you think?
So we've all been waiting, right, for the past couple of years for like, what will the next big M&A deal be? You can't have this many streaming services. It's too expensive to do streaming for these companies. They're pouring billions of dollars into it. So Paramount seems to be the first company that is going to sell. From whatever sources tell me, it sounds like a deal is in the works. Sounds like something will happen in the next several weeks. We'll have to see. You know, as we've reported and others have reported, Sherry Redstone, the controlling shareholder of Paramount, has had conversations with Skydance to sell her stake or all of Paramount's parent company, National Amusements, to Skydance. There was also a lunch reported between Warner's CEO, David Zaslav, and Paramount CEO, Bob Iger. I don't think, my reporting tells me that that is not going to be advancing, but it's too early to say.
You know, I'm curious of your take, Jessica, coming out of 2023, how the media moguls have fared, right? You look at Bob Iger under fire at Disney, at least from Peltz, even if this is a bad day for Trian. You know, you look at David Zaslav, who maybe now is trying to, after he built this thing, maybe is now trying to sell it. Like, you look at the strikes and how these various executives interacted with the various unions. I mean, did they overall, how do we assess that last year for them?
You know, I think that everyone kind of had a realization moment, all these executives, where they realized, oh, maybe we shouldn't have gone all in on streaming. Maybe that was a mistake. Maybe we shouldn't have, we were getting a lot of money from these cable companies. Maybe we should have continued the course with that. I think it's a little woulda, shoulda, coulda, honestly. Like, there had to be some changes. Everyone had to evolve. We all knew there was going to be years of bumpiness, and this was going to be a tricky transition. I think it's obviously a lot harder than we anticipated. For some of these companies like Paramount, they just don't have the scale to do it on their own. Disney, I think, will be able to manage through this, but it's going to take some time.
And Jessica, I want to get you out of here on this. You recently wrote a great piece, which spoke to me personally, because my 4-year-old Jessica makes a beeline for YouTube, right? That's it. It's all about YouTube. And apparently, Sid is not alone from your reporting.
Yes. So kids are going to YouTube and not going to streaming services. You know, we had some reporting that showed that from Nielsen that Netflix is seeing the number of 2 to 11-year-olds that are on Netflix decrease from, around 25% to 21% in September 2023. Meanwhile, YouTube is slowly increasing from 29 to 33%. You know, as a parent, we've all seen it. We see our kids going to YouTube. They like these little bites of content, and they like the way it's served to them. So I think all the streaming services, including Netflix, are figuring out how do we work with YouTube to kind of get these kids back to our services rather than see them as an enemy.
Jessica, thank you so much for joining us today, and everybody should check out that piece. It's great, especially if you have kids. Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you so much for having me.